Hello everyone and welcome back to my second episode of my show. In this video, the main focus is cybersecurity, and the guest we're going to be interviewing Professor Blerim Rexha, who is a teaching professor in the University of Pristina. The second part that we're going to talk about in this video is the basics of cybersecurity, the threats of it, and how to protect ourselves from it. Hello Professor Rexha, I hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to my show.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Okay, we're going to start with some questions and I'm very curious about your answers. Starting with, how important is cybersecurity in technology today?
Ben, thank you very much for having me in your show. Coming back to your question, I think the cybersecurity is very important, and if we check the national policies, and especially if we check European policies in general, we see that energy and cybersecurity are becoming the two most important topics. In the last decade, we have seen that European Commission has put energy and cybersecurity on top of its priorities. And recently, cybersecurity gaining more and more importance. So not only in the country level, but also at the European level, cybersecurity is becoming more important. As we see the increased demand and increased level of digitalization and services all over the world, in every country, even in countries in developing such as Kosovo, we see that the cybersecurity is very important because all our digital assets need to be protected. So cybersecurity is part of economical development strategy, economical strategy of every country.
Great, very helpful information. We're going to start with the second question. What do you think are the main attacks or main threats of cyber attacks?
Cybersecurity is not only securing the current channel that we are talking now, but it's also about how you do coding, and this must be injected to the developers as well, from not only from coding but from designing. And recently we face, let's say, an approach secure by design. That means application devices need to be secure by design, not to put security on top of their, let's say, features. So when you ask about cyber attacks or most famous cyber attacks, we need to refer to OWASP Top 10, and they have this list when they live about vulnerabilities, when we can find them. Let's say malware, DDoS attacks, Trojan horses, and so on still are hanging around, and they pose a cyber threat to the normal users.
Great. So the third and final question is, I'm very curious about the answer of yours.
Okay.
How important is cybersecurity in the future technologies?
Well, since I'm being a little bit old and being on this technology many years, I have seen how the cybersecurity, how the security has been increased, and I still can recall a time when cybersecurity was not an issue. In fact, internet, when it was discovered and when used in its first days, security was not an issue. In that time, we are speaking 35, 40 years ago, communication between two nodes was the main challenge. And it was not thought that security will become issue. And in recent 20 years, every system needs its cybersecurity. And so now, as the technology evolves, we need to protect our digital assets, and cybersecurity is important now, and it will become more important in the future as our digital assets and digital services are increasing. In fact, there are countries like Estonia that every service is in electronic form, and you can, let's say, use these services in electronic format or online, and you need to protect because these services are very critical, like energy, water supply, public transportation, etc. These are very critical to the citizens. And not speaking here about bank services or education service or health services. So these, if they are exposed or misused or put to a threat, the consequences can be fatal, not only in financial terms, but also in terms of life and death. So future technologies will have embedded cybersecurity in them.
Great. Thank you for your answering these questions, and hopefully these information are helpful for the viewers as well. And thank you for being on my show. Goodbye.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It was my pleasure.
So maybe you're a viewer then interested about cybersecurity or protecting yourselves from these threats. So what's cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is practicing protect our networks, programs, and digital attacks. These attacks are usually aimed to accessing or changing or damaging sensitive information, extorting money from users, and proceeding to interrupt business processes. As I told in the beginning, I'm going to mention some threats that will come from these cyber attacks, including malware, ransomware, phishing, and social engineering. Malware is a malicious software that damages computer or computer system by just using these email attachments, downloads, and websites. Next, we got phishing. Phishing is a type of social engineering attack that uses decrypted emails, websites that tricks users to revealing certain or sensitive information and credit card numbers. Next, we got ransomware. Ransomware is a type of malware that uses these decrypts files, and it demands ransom in exchange for the decrypt key. Then we got social engineering. Social engineering is, I know it's a type of weird way, but I think it's the most smart threat in all of these threats that I mentioned. Social engineering is psychological manipulation that uses or tricks users to revealing sensitive information and doing certain acts. So, in order to protect yourselves from these threats, I think you should follow these steps. And there are many steps that you can follow from protecting you from these threats. Starting with the first step, make sure your computer and software is up to date. Make sure you have the latest security patches and the antivirus to protect yourself from these malware attacks or other attacks in previous. Second, make sure you have strong passwords. Use strong passwords and complex ones, and make sure you have the two-factor authentication. Third and final, don't post sensitive information that can be used against you. Cybersecurity is an important issue, and I think by following these steps, you should protect yourselves, and I really hope that you're not in this position. Until next time, see you.